I have been meaning to make some accessories for this T-slot fence for some time now. I want to make a stop block. I'd like to make a longer sacrificial fence to attach all the way across the fence so I can push it close to the blade. And I am going to remount this router table fence to the other side. And the first thing I needed to do was figure out what type of fasteners I was going to use. So I contacted Grizzly. I asked them if they had anything that fit and the T-slots here, and they said, yeah, we sell these nuts here, and they should fit. The problem is they don't, because the measurement that they went off of was this short end here. And although that barely fits into the slot here, the nut doesn't fit in. It really is supposed to go in this way. So there's really no way to get that in. So I contacted Grizzly, they're gonna look into it. But in the meantime, I decided to cover and get me some oval nuts. These are off of Amazon. These are quarter inch 20, and they'll fit 1/4 inch 20 bolts. So here is one of the oval nuts. The first thing I had to do was grind down both sides. As they came, these nuts are just a little bit too big to fit into the slot itself, so I had to take it over to the belt sander and take off the top and the bottom just a little bit, but that wasn't too difficult. After that came the more challenging part. I had to figure out exactly how I was going to mount these, and that's a little bit tricky. The bolts I'm using here, these 1/4 inch bolts, really take up all of the space in the slot, so I could not screw up how I was going to mount this, because with that little room for error, if I was off, up, or down, these things just wouldn't fit. So I was puzzling over the best way to do this, and I thought, well, the easiest way would just be to measure the bottom of the bottom slot to the bottom of the top slot, because that is the exact same distance as the middle of the bottom slot and the middle of the top slot. That's actually pretty difficult to measure with calipers, because it's hard to get that bang on, and I really didn't have that much room for error. So I decided to take a little bit longer route and use some math. Here's a sketch of the fence. I made the slotted sections are the slots themselves. So you really have 3 measurements. You have an A measurement. That is the measurement from the bottom of the bottom slot to the top of the top slot. And I measured that out to be about 1.42 inches. Then you have a B measurement, which is the measurement of the slot itself. And I think I mentioned it's just over 1/4 inch, 0.255 inches. And you take A, you subtract off B, and you get the distance, bottom of the bottom slot to bottom of the top slot, which is C. So with that calculation, 1.165 was the middle, the center point between those 2 slots piece here. So I measured this out. This is 2.061, and doing the calculation, I found out I need to strike out a line 0.448 inches down from the top and bottom. So that is what I'm gonna do. Alrighty, so here are my calipers. First thing you always gotta do is zero them out. So I put the teeth together and zero them out. So the measurement I have is 0.448. So I'm gonna very slowly dial this in.
0.448. The reason I'm taking my sweet time again is I really do not have a lot of room to screw up, so slowly, as close as I can. That's probably close enough.
485. So now that I have that measurement, I'm going to take the block I'm going to use, and I'm just going to strike a line from the bottom all the way across here. And it's kind of hard to see, but it does strike a very faint line in the wood there. Same thing with the other side. There we go. So you can kind of see those lines there. I'm going to fill those in with some Sharpie and then drill out some pilot holes. film the making of this, but I just drilled a tiny little hole enough to fit this small piece of round rare earth magnet and sunk it in just a little bit below. That probably should still be enough holding power to hold it to the metal of the table saw. So here's the final product, all varnished and sanded. So to use it, I just slide it right on in the T-slots.
I can do it one-handed. There we go.
And wherever you want to position it, just grab a screwdriver. Get the screws on down, solidly in place. And when you're done, loosen, slide right off, and it stores anywhere on the table saw.